Well, hi there, and welcome to a somewhat late evening edition of the Baseball Replay Journal. We have an interesting matchup here for you, the 49 Brooklyn Dodgers against the 1949 Philadelphia Phillies. And without any further ado, let's get it away. If you've been reading the blog, you know that the Brooklyn Dodgers are not playing very well so far. They're 0-4, as we just saw there. And yeah, we'll see how they do. They've had a really, really bad start to the season. And the man at bat here, Jackie Robinson, is part of the reason why. And what a catch there by Richie Ashburn. My goodness. First play of the game. It's been that kind of season, by the way, so far for the Dodgers, where it seems that everything's going against them. And, nothing is going right. And, you know how it is. When nothing is going right for you, when it rains, it pours, and boy, it's been a real interesting and really tough part of the season so far for Brooklyn. In real life, they played much better than this, and as I mentioned in an earlier blog post, they were starting Cal Abrams, who I am not starting because I don't think that he's ready to play at this level yet. We'll see how much luck they have here against Russ Meyer. But I tell you, that last game, so the game on the 22nd of April against the Phillies, was not a good game for the Dodgers at all, in so many different ways. Campanella there gets on with a 2-out walk. Here comes the Duke of Flatbush. And why are they trying to steal with Roy Campanella? That is, I suppose, is what you want to do to try to put some liveliness into your club, and to try to make something happen. But boy, that's a really interesting decision. That's a really, really interesting decision to make at the very beginning of the game. I don't know. I mean, we can look up Campanella really quick. Yeah, 3 stolen bases and 3 caught stealing that year. I mean, I guess he's got, so Diamond Mine logic, he's got fair stealing rating, fair jump, which is because he doesn't have very many stolen bases. Kind of an okay runner, but I mean, this wasn't even a hit and run play. This was a straight steal. It's a strange decision. The computer manager will make strange decisions like that from time to time. It's actually not really cognizant of what the standings are. It's looking basically at what the current, as far as I understand at least, what the current play situation is and what its options are. I'm not certain, though, how it takes things like relief pitchers and stuff into account. I would assume that for that, it's kind of looking at sort of real life usage and all that. But when it comes to stolen bases, boy, that's kind of an odd decision, stealing with Campanella there in the first inning when it looks like you have something finally going. As you can imagine, 1949, there's not a whole lot of stolen bases. In fact, you want to see the guy, as Seminick draws that walk, you want to see the guy who had the stolen bases. He's right here, Jackie Robinson with 37 steals, 16 caught stealing. And that's the reason why we have him hitting leadoff. Now he just needs to get on base. There's really not much you can do when your sabermetrics and your theory is solid, but the player is just not hitting. Not much you can do about that, unfortunately. Sisler with a 2-2 count now. And it goes to 3-2 on Dick Sisler. And let's see what happens here. And it's a base hit up the middle. And we're not going to run Seminick here. You saw it in our last game how I took a few too many chances there with Washington and wound up with a couple of guys thrown out at third base. We're not going to do this here with Philadelphia. Del Ennis up now. I know there's a possibility of a double play. And you look at this Brooklyn infield, it's just amazing. Cox, Reese, Robinson, and Hodges is like a Hall of Fame infield. But we'll see what happens. We'll take our chances on the double play. And look at that. You get a base hit. Now we're going to send Dick Sisler. And he's safe on the play at home. And there you have it. It's a 2-0 ball game just like that. And, this is not exactly boding so well for the Brooklyn Dodgers once again. Joe Hatton I have here is probably the best of the Dodger pitchers that are on the team right now. This is because Don Newcomb is still in the minor leagues, which, if you know your history, was actually somewhat controversial in 1949 itself. It was obvious, I think, to all observers that Newcomb was going to be a star player in the major leagues. And there are a lot of stories of racism that would indicate why Newcomb was not brought up to the big club to begin the season, which is really where he belonged. I don't know how in the world you can have Cal Abrams on this team, but not have Don Newcomb on the team. I mean, the guy who was the best pitcher in the National League in 1949 and is, all-time great pitcher. I don't know. I don't get it. I just personally don't get it. I wasn't around at that time. I don't know what the sensibilities were like. I imagine that things were a lot different in American society, but it's really, really hard to explain. And that's one of the drawbacks of having real life transactions. If we were playing this using like OOTP, you bet I would have Don Newcomb on the roster from the very beginning of the season. But then there's the question of, does that give Brooklyn too much of an advantage? You can actually have any sort of pennant race, or are they just going to run away with it? Right now, looking at how they're playing, I think they could go for any advantage they could get. 0-4 and down 2-0 here, and not playing well at all. And even that, Hodges gets into one, doesn't do anything at all for him. Boy, this keeps up. It's going to be a real long season in Flatbush. All right. Well, Reese with a good play there, and here comes Eddie Miller now, hitting a whole bunch of nothing. The Phillies, by the way, are not really playing that well. Phillies in 49 actually had a better team than meets the eye. And we all know about the Whiz Kids 1950 Phillies. I mean, this team's not the Whiz Kids, but it's a better team than you would think. And a team that, I could see in some replay simulations maybe doing something. But we'll see what happens. I mean, especially, again, if Brooklyn's going to lose like the first 4, 5, 6 games of the season. We'll see how long this lasts. Billy Cox, 1-2 count on him. And takes the ball, now 2-2. No dice there on that ground ball. And now Hatton's up in a sort of an early, somewhat clutch situation. Interesting to see that Hatton doesn't have much of a sacrifice bunt rating, but he does have a good rating for bunting for a hit, which has got to be odd for a pitcher. We're going to play in on the corners. Bunts into the air, and he bunts it up to the pitcher with two men on. Again, this is the sort of season it's been for the Brooklyn Dodgers. I mean, good heavens. Good heavens, You can't buy a break. You can't buy a break. You can't buy a break. And see, now the problem you have now, because that didn't work, is you leave yourself wide open to the possibility of a double play. Now, Jackie Robinson's coming up, but not hitting that well so far this year and really not doing too much of anything. Okay, hits it over the on-deck hitter. Strike 2. Fell another one away. And to short double play ball, there's 1, there's 2, and there you go. And we're down to the bottom of the 3rd inning. That's the way that it's been. I'm telling you, that's the way that it's been for Brooklyn this whole replay so fall, as Furillo falls on the grass and gives up a leadoff double. And just like that, the Phillies are threatening once again. And boy, I tell you, in the Brooklyn dugout, they're probably about ready to play taps on this season. I mean, it is still April, right? It's very, very early in the season. I hate looking at the standings this early in the season because it doesn't really mean anything. But if you keep losing games like this, I mean, you're going to get yourself into a hole that you can't get out of, Semitic now with a 3-0 count. I'm going to actually have him take this pitch. The automatic strike. It's funny because I was reading the Sporting News from 1949. Wow. And Hatton goes and gets him on that strikeout. Wow, that was actually fairly impressive. I was reading the Sporting News from 1949 where they were talking about that automatic strike, which was sort of a thing where radio broadcasters back then would talk about it, and they question, whether it really was so automatic or not. A lot of interesting articles in the old Sporting News. If you don't have a Sabre subscription, I definitely recommend getting one. You can go into Paper of Record afterwards and read some of these articles and learn about how much people knew about the game of baseball back then, how many things that they knew about that we've either forgotten today or we've rediscovered and thought that nobody in the past thought much about it. Top of the 4th inning now. 1-1 pitch on Hermansky, now 2-1. And there's ball 3, and we'll see if Meyer can prevent from walking him. And base hit for Hermansky. So Gene Hermansky is one of those guys that you love having on your team because of how fast he is. This is another guy who's a big stolen base threat. 12 stolen bases out of 16 stolen base chances. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what the game does. I actually probably should have thrown it first. I'm going to do this here for a second, just sort of keep him honest. If he's going to run, he's going to run now. Oh man, oh man, I tell you, like I've said, this is what the season has been like for the Brooklyn Dodgers. I mean, Hermansky gets the golden opportunity, just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to make the steal, uh, or I guess to advance on a wild pitch. I'm guessing is what it would actually be, and instead he ends up with absolutely nothing. And I mean, what can you do about that, right? Just nothing is going their way. Nothing is going right for them. This is pretty depressing times if you're a Dodgers fan. Campanella with a second walk of the game. Like I said before, look at his stolen base ratings. I mean, why would you steal with him like that in the top of the first inning? I just don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I mean, maybe one of you can go down to the comments, tell me what's going on, why the computer manager is doing this. And Hamner gets the second out. And I mean, this is sort of the way that it is. And there you go. 3 outs in the inning. And man, if Hermansky stays on and doesn't try to go to second on that little wild pitch, then you have something completely different. You have no outs, runners on first and second. Base hit for Nicholson, picks out one of those hanging curveballs, and this is where, like I said, you wonder where is Don Newcomb. Long fly ball to Snyder in center, and that takes care of Hamner. And we have Miller up there. This time the trio of Dodgers actually made the play, which is, or as it says here, a trio of Brooklyn dudes. I don't know about what the implications of the word dude were back in 1949. Like I said, I wasn't around back then, but I have a feeling that it didn't quite mean the same thing back then that it does today in slang terms. But somebody talked to Jack Wood about that. All right, Hodges gets a little pop-up base hit there, and now let's see what Brooklyn does. Well, now that's a pretty significant play. Reese getting on as Hamner ends up sort of being stuck with the ball, and it's Philadelphia's turn to have a little bit of a snafu there on the in the infield, and we'll see if that's sort of the spark that the Dodgers have needed here to try to break their losing streak. I'm talking like I'm managing them. I'm not. I'm managing the Phillies, who have sort of a streak of futility so far in the season on their own. I mean, they were swept in their first series. So let's see what happens. Normally, I wouldn't bring you games between two losing teams, but, this is a pretty good story, isn't it? Joe Hatton back up now, and this is going to be interesting to see what he does. This is one of those things that, gets the strategy thoughts in you going, because he is a pretty good bunter. He has this interesting split. Now, I'll talk probably later on about splits and what I feel about them. I think these are a little bit overdone, a little bit overrated, and I think I understand why. It was very, very good marketing by a certain baseball game that will remain nameless at the moment. We'll have the corners come in, and we'll see what he does. If we strike him out here, that'd be great, and we strike him out. Look at that. Hatton just goes after one that's wide, and that's the way it's been for Brooklyn, but there's always hope. With this guy at the plate, you don't feel safe. And, man, right below the wall in right field, you make the put out, bottom of the fifth inning now. It's another one of these pretty fast-paced games. Action every second. 100 miles an hour, maybe not that fast, but we're definitely getting through games a lot faster than modern baseball games take, don't you think? Where these days, if you get through 3 innings in an hour, you're a hero. Ashburn's out on the appeal, so that makes 1 away. Semenick now comes up, takes the ball 1-1. Great play by Cox, and he robs him of a sure base hit. Not a sheer, but a sure base hit. And that's another nice little play-by-play snippet. I think we'll take that on, and we'll keep a little memory of that one. My goodness. I love it when that happens. I love it when that sort of thing comes up, because just when you think that you can predict what's going to happen, the game will throw you for a loop. And it's always a little bit different. You have to look at the whole play and read it all out. You never know. Ooh, baby. Ooh, okay. You never know what's coming. You never know what's going to happen. Boy, you get this feeling that Philadelphia is about to blow this lead. See if they can hold on. 2-2 pitch to Hermansky now. Fouled again. And Hermansky swings. Strikes out. 2 walks and 2 strikeouts for Meyer now. Up comes Campy. So I don't know how you feel about play-by-play versus pitch-by-pitch in games like Diamond Mine. If I have the pitch-by-pitch option, I'm going to do pitch-by-pitch. I love playing the game this way. There's so much more depth. It's so much more interesting to see what happens on these at-bats. Oh, baby, and there goes Duke Snider. This is one of the few good things that has happened so far here in the Brooklyn season. Duke Snider hitting the home run. I'm going to call it a clutch home run there in the top of the sixth. Doesn't exactly put Brooklyn all the way back into it, but this at least gives them some signs of life. And with that, we will see where we go from here. Over the wall onto 20th Street. I've been there, actually. It was 22 years ago, but I've been to Brooklyn. I've been to these streets. It looks a lot different now without Ebbets Field there. Not really part of the country I'd like to live in right now, nor is it a place I could afford to live in. But, it's worth visiting from time to time. A lot of people who live there don't know about all the history of that place, unfortunately, but that's kind of the way the New York is, What have you done for me lately? Well, Ennis, you've struck out for me lately, so much for that. Wow, what a play. What a play. Puddinhead Jones gets a triple off the wall after Ferrillo climbs the wall and cannot get it. And you can imagine, if you have seen the old clips, if you've seen the old caricatures, the old photos, you can see Carl Ferrillo climbing up that wall, trying to desperately go after that ball, trying to make that catch, and just can't get it. And, of course, because he climbs the wall, he's out of position to make the play, hence the triple. Excellent play-by-play. Absolutely wonderful. It's a masterful exhibition of play-by-play. That's why we bring you Diamond Mine Baseball here on YouTube. 1-1 on Nicholson, takes the next one for ball 2. Grounded weakly to short, and let's go home. I think that Brooklyn will throw to first, and they do. Nope. And there you have it, 3-1. I don't know if I'm playing defense there. I don't know if I make that play in the bottom of the 6th inning, in a game where it's pretty clear that runs are going to be somewhat scarce. But I can understand the sentiment. That just strikes me as a little bit more conservative, though, than I would normally want to play in 1949. If we're talking about a season with a lot of home run hitting and stuff, then it might be a little bit different. And it's not like 49 had nothing. But, I've played quite a few of these games so far, and I'll tell you, this isn't 1998, nor is it 2022. Beautiful play by Dick Sisler there at first base. He lets it bounce off of his mitt. He recovers, and he's able to make the play anyway. And this is from a guy who's got a fair rating. That's the other thing that this shows you, right? Those fielder ratings do have an impact, but this doesn't mean that a guy who has poor fielder ratings is going to never make a good play. Which is one of the nice things about Diamond Mine. There's so much in terms of randomness in this game and in the game engine as I understand it. It's not a game sort of like the competitors, your Appos, Stratomatics, Dynasty League Baseball, and so on, in that your possibilities here quite literally are infinite. You're not looking at possibilities that are limited by, having a playable game engine or anything like that. Here we have a game engine in which just about anything really is possible. And that really makes for some exciting baseball, in my opinion. That's the reason why I think this game really stands the test of time, despite all of the controversy that it's been through and the interesting ownership that the game company is currently under and other problems that we've seen. It's a lot of fun to play, and I really think that it's time for some of us to forget about some of the politics behind it and just play the game. I'm trying to think right now if I want to take Meyer out or not. He's coming up next. We'll see if we can get him out of this inning. He's not going to pitch much longer for us, though. I think we'll do well to get 7 from him. Yeah, we need to not walk Jackie Robinson. Okay, 3-2 pitch on him is not where we wanted to see this go. Yeah. All right, we'll keep him in for one more. Gets Hermansky to chase that ball. 2-1 pitch now. It drops in. Okay, 2-2 pitch. Let's see what happens here. Oh, baby. Oh, my goodness. Wow, grand slam home run for Gene Hermansky. Oh, my goodness. And that's going to take the pitcher out. That's got to. Oh, man. wow, you can feel the emotion in that. You can feel the tension in that. You can feel that that's all of the frustration from the first week of the season just coming out in one big swing of the bat for Hermansky. Hermansky now having 2 for 4 today with, of course, the 4 RBIs. And he's hitting now, looks like 299. So he's having a fairly good year. That is his first home run of the season, though. And boy, I mean, he didn't just tag that ball. You could feel the emotion in that ball as at least as I was reading the play-by-play. All right, what do you think we should do here? How you want to put in Schoolboy Rowe? Trying to think of who else we have here. So we've used Trinkle a little bit. I'm thinking either Thompson or Rowe, and I kind of like to put in Rowe. Rowe, who is 39 years old, barely holding on, but might be fun. Do we want to put in, make a double switch here? Do we have a shortstop is my question. He's not going to do it. Calabero can do it. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little double switch action here. Caballero, I'm sorry, and he will come in as the shortstop, and we will move on. In fact, if you read recent blog posts, you'll read about Caballero and all of his exploits in the first game of this short series between these two teams. All right, we got out of that inning, 5-3 now Brooklyn, and we'll see if we can tee off against the Brooklyn Dodger relief pitching. That's the problem you see in 1949, which is that when you take the pitcher out, you got to have somebody come in and pitch. And I'm going to tell you that we did go out 1-2-3 that inning. I'm going to tell you that most pitchers in 1949 are relief pitchers. That is, they're not quite like the sort of guys you see today with the setup roles and guys who were born to be relievers, relief pitchers from when they were in the cradle and all that stuff. A little bit different in 1949, where relief pitching means that you're either a young pitcher or you just don't have it to be a starter. With the exception, of course, of Joe Page in New York. And we saw how he did when the first game of this YouTube channel against the Red Sox. And nothing going for Brooklyn there in the top of the 8th, now bottom of the 8th, and it's Andy Semnick again. 2-0 pitch to him. Gets a little bit of a foul ball. Bounce to Cox, and maybe Brooklyn will finally do it. They'll break the spell. That pitch missed Sisler somehow. Lines one to right. That's not going to do it. Now, this is one of those things, right? The reason why you want to play with some small ball is because after seeing so many line drives go nowhere, you're thinking we got to do something to get guys on base and try to make something happen instead of all this, swing from your heels and strike out and hit a bunch of ground balls. 1-2 now on Reese. We can go inside and miss there. And we got to the gap to pull that one in. I'm going to check the weather really quick here and see what's going on. I know that it was raining, blowing right to left. So it is possible that some of those, balls that have been tagged have been sort of caught up in the wind. I don't remember where the grand slam went, but it's possible that might have been aided by the wind as well. Here we go, bottom of the 9th inning. We'll see what happens. Strike one there to Willie Jones. Popped him up, so 0-2 now. And nothing going there for Jones. Bill Nicholson up next. He's playing fairly well so far this season. Right fielder. Oh, baby, and Nicholson hits a home run, and that's another clutch hit. And, we're not going to have Schoolboy Rowe bat for himself. I guess he did bat for himself a little bit in real life. Can you imagine that? They actually started 39-year-old Schoolboy Rowe. May have been part of the Phillies' problems in 1949. If you got a guy like that kicking around the place, but we're going to be a little bit more intelligent than that. We're not going to let him hit for himself. Who they have in Erskine and Erskine. My apologies. So I usually don't like doing this, coming here and playing this percentage game. Oh, who was a little bit better here? Who's a little bit better there? I guess Eddie Whitekiss, actually. If we want to go over advanced batting and look at, runs created per 27 outs, that's probably the guy that we want batting for us. So we'll put him in. We'll see what happens. Now, the sabermetric tools and stuff in Diamond Mine are all old, and I'll get into this in a future post at some point in time. The reason why it's old is because Diamond Mine Baseball was originally a DOS game. It was originally a Pursue the Pennant baseball, starting in the early 90s, I think. Full count here. Let's pay attention to this. Ball 4, and Philadelphia has the tying run on base. And now we have another decision to make. Eddie Miller is hitting nothing, and we have plenty of second basemen. In fact, Wycus is the first baseman. I'm sorry. I was going to say we have Blattner's the guy that I was thinking of, who we can put in for him and just have playing the field, assuming that we tie the game. And I think maybe we go ahead and run here. Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, the guts of Diamond Mine Baseball is what I was trying to say. It comes from the early 90s. And if you read the Tom Tippett interview that came out recently, the thought behind it really comes from the late 1980s. White makes it a second on that play. And here comes Caballero. We'll let him hit for himself. Strike one to Caballero. Love that name, Putsy Caballero. And that's it. I guess there were two others. I thought there was one. No worries, though, and that's the end of that. So Philadelphia has a runner on second base at the end of the game and are threatening and wind up unable to deliver the goods and unable to bring it home. Your final score today then is Brooklyn 5, Philadelphia 4, and that means that the Dodgers are now 1-4. The Phillies are now 1-5. Game between two very good teams, as you can tell. We'll see what happens, though. This may be what Brooklyn needs to turn the season around. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that, and we'll be back with more action tomorrow. Come visit the blog, baseball replay journal at .substack.com. Take a look at some of the posts on there. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. Go ahead and comment and subscribe. You'll see more, and I will see you tomorrow.